Hello everyone, this is Kona, and thank you for tuning in to another TF2 commentary. Now, some of the most common questions I get asked are, what's my favorite class, and what are my favorite loadouts? And it's really hard to answer these questions because, sometimes I like to switch around to different classes depending on what I like to play at the time. And I keep trying all these different, I don't know how many different loadouts there are, combinations of loadouts there are, to see what fits me best. But I'm gonna try and make a series of videos that highlights my favorite loadouts for each class. And these loadouts, they're probably not the best loadouts in the game, and some of them I actually really suck at, but they kind of fit my playstyle, or they're a lot of fun to play just because they're so different. So first up is the soldier, which I've learned to enjoy more and more ever since I've actually learned the proper way on how to rocket jump. And by the way, just a little tip, if you're gonna learn to rocket jump, don't forget to take some breaks once in a while when you're doing this. I actually hurt my wrist because I practiced for like 3 or 4 hours a day straight, like I don't know for how many weeks, practice rocket jumping, and that's like my first injury. That's like a computer related injury. It's kind of embarrassing, but yeah, that wasn't very smart. So if you're gonna do this, take a break once in a while. Starting with number 3 is what I like to call the I don't need a medic loadout, and that's the black box, the conqueror, and the escape plan. Now I'm sure you've jumped on a random server and of course there's no medic, right? Why would there be a medic in the pubs? Now if that's the case and there are too many snipers and spies on your team, I usually go with this loadout. Now, nothing can really match the sustain you get with this loadout. You have 2 sources of health regen, which means you can stay alive and just keep up the pressure, and ammo is sort of a non-issue because you can get them right after you kill someone. What's really nice about this loadout is that I don't have to worry too much about self-damage at point-blank range, and I think that's where this loadout really excels at, is at point-blank. I mean, at point-blank, you're more likely to hit someone, so you'll get some health back, and hopefully with that health, it'll save you from killing yourself. If you really need to get out of there, that's where the escape plan comes in. You can also still rocket jump pretty well with the black box, although you only have 3 rockets instead of 4, so I found that I can't really go ham and bomb in on people as much. So many times I've tried to bomb in on someone, I landed right next to them, I get 2 good hits on them, and then they kill me with like 10 health left. So instead of doing that, like how I would normally do that with the default rocket launcher, with the black box, I usually just use the rocket jumping to either escape or to just get somewhere faster. Okay, next at number 2 is a really weird loadout that I suck at using, but it's a lot of fun to play with. I call it the preloader, and that's the beggar's bazooka, the panic attack, and the disciplinary action. Now, it should be pretty obvious why I call it that. Basically, it's made up of weapons that you have to hold down the mouse button to actually load them to get them ready to shoot. This makes me kind of wish that there was like a melee weapon where you would hold it down and you would release to swing, and the longer you hold it down, the more damage it does. Like, that would be such a cool weapon. Valve, get on that. I want a weapon like that so I can complete this set. Now, anyway, the reason why I like this loadout is not because it's easy to use, I suck with it, but because it's so different from the normal way I play soldier, and sometimes that's just fun to do, right? It's just fun to try something different. Now, I'm pretty noob at using the beggar, so I end up missing a lot with it, and I really can't rocket jump with it that well compared to like the default rocket launcher, so I usually just try to stay indoors because I feel like that's where I have the advantage, is in tight areas where I can blast all 3 at the same time. Now, the panic attack got a nice buff during the gunmetal update, so now it's not that bad to use. I might actually have to revisit the worst weapons in TF2 again, so maybe another video? I don't know. Anyway, switching from the beggars to the panic attack, it feels sort of natural. I mean, the fire mechanics are pretty much the same, right? You hold down and you let go. It's not like you're going back and forth between like a regular weapon and then like a quote charged based weapon. Now, although it's a little easier for me to transition between these two, I am still not that great with it. I mean, it's sort of like a spray and pray type of thing when it comes to the panic attacks more specifically. I'm just trying to get at least 1 hit with it. And, when my health is really low and the thing starts increasing in fire rate, I actually start I start panicking a little bit. I start freaking out because it's so fast, like I can't even control the weapon. So maybe that's why, it's called the panic attack? I thought that, well, never mind. I thought it was called the panic attack because you're panicking and you switch to it as sort of a last resort, but I don't know, for me it's different. It's when I use it, I start panicking because it fires so damn fast. Now the disciplinary action is there sort of as a way to compensate for my crappy rocket jumping with the beggars. I know you can do these like mid-air jumps if you time it correctly, but I'm not that good yet, and even if I was, I'm assuming that I'll take a lot of self-damage when I do that, which means I would start the fight with low health. Now actually, I guess if I switch to the panic attack after doing that rocket jump and I have low health, I would have like insane firing speed, right? I would be firing so fast, but actually, like I said, I start to panic with it and I'm gonna miss all my shots, so it probably wouldn't even matter. Okay, so finally, my favorite loadout for the soldier as of right now is the Sentry Saboteur, which consists of the direct hit, the Conqueror, and a frying pan. Although you can replace the melee weapon with any default weapon, I guess. I just like the frying pan because of the sound it makes. Now the main reason why I use this loadout is because of one thing, sentries. You know, I noticed that a lot of times when I play in pubs, that sentries can be a huge problem for teams to deal with, especially if they don't have the right team composition. Now there are a number of ways to deal with sentries. I mean, you could always be a spy and try to take it out yourself, but sentries are usually surrounded by NGs and other people, and it's really hard to get in there, and it's almost like a suicide mission when you try and go and sap a sentry that's surrounded by the enemy. You can try demo men. Demo men are good, but you sort of need an Uber to get in range because of the trajectory of your stickies. You know, things like charging your stickies or even using the lock and load. The lock and load. You know, those things might help, but usually you'll take return damage because you'll have to get within range. Unless the sentry is like around a corner like that and you can get some shots on it without the sentry seeing you. If you're gonna go head on, most of the time you're going to be pushed back by the sentry or you're going to take some damage from it, so sometimes that doesn't work either. This is where the direct hit comes into play. All you really need to do is position yourself so that you're in line of sight of the sentry, but you're out of range, and once you do that, that sentry is pretty much dead. You get free shots on it, usually just takes 3 or 4 shots, and an engineer might not be able to repair it in time, so usually it's just too much damage. The projectiles are too fast and it does too much damage for most engineers to repair it in time, so it's usually that sentry's dead. Now the Conqueror is there mainly for sustain so that I can keep up the pressure. You know, going back for health might give the enemy engineers time to rebuild, so I usually like to keep my health up with that. Just stay in position and keep shooting down the sentries if they ever try to rebuild. You know, let them know that, hey, they can't build a sentry there anymore. Now the direct hit is not only used for sentries, it's actually fantastic against players. The only problem is it takes a while to get good at shooting at players. I have to practice a lot to get my twitch reflexes going and to, you know, get used to the new rocket speed. And actually the faster rocket speed can be beneficial at times because since it is faster, you don't have to lead people as much. You can just like basically shoot them almost instantly. But at the same time, it can be difficult because normally with a default rocket launcher, you're sort of relying on that splash damage as your main source of damage. You can get direct hits with them, they're fine. You know, it's always cool when you do. But with the direct hit, you basically have to get a direct hit with it. There's very little splash damage. So yeah, you have to be sort of on top of your game with your aim. I didn't mean to rhyme that. You have to be good. You have to be pretty good with your aim to actually make the most out of this weapon. And if you're ever having a bad day with your aim, because sometimes I have really off days where I just can't hit anything, you'll definitely notice it with this weapon. So those are my favorite loadouts for the soldier. I actually think I have the most hours played as soldier out of all the different classes, so I actually wanted to do this class first. I'll be making other videos of my favorite loadouts for the other classes, so stay tuned for that. So my question for you is, what is your favorite loadout for the soldier and why? Is it because you feel the most comfortable with it, or maybe you get the most kills with it, or maybe it's because it's really unique and no one else uses it? Let me know in the comments below. So I hope you enjoyed this video, thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.